My name's Jonathan Court. I'm the senior producer on Alien Isolation.
And I'm Clive Lindop. I'm the design lead on the console team here at Creative Assembly.
This game starts 15 years after the flight recorder is found for the Nostromo. It takes place between the first movie and the second movie, which is 60 years. And Amanda Ripley, which is Ellen Ripley's daughter, gets the opportunity to go to the space station Sevastopol to find that flight recorder. When she gets there, she finds a space station in anarchy, and the adventure starts when she gets on board and finds there's an alien loose on the space station.
One of the things that we really didn't want to do was to retcon or rewrite elements of the canon or introduce new elements that somehow reset anything. The story that Ellen Ripley travels through, the story that's in the films, all those things happen as they always were going to. We are looking at, as fans, we're looking at some of the voids, some of the spaces in that story, personified by Amanda Ripley, where our story runs in parallel. What happened in the 60 years between the Nostromo disappearing and the second film starting? I mean, we sometimes talk about the kind of heart of darkness storytelling, that journey where things have a tempo, and as you first start going down the river, things getting a little weird and a little strange, and things get darker, and then suddenly you realise that you've gone too far, and it's really a matter of survival. So, without giving away what the specific events of the story are, Amanda Ripley's journey is very much starts with a mission to learn things about her past through her mother that have defined her, and so she's after answers. Very quickly transforms at a certain point into being about her own survival and her own journeys.
I mean, it's a strong story-led game, and it follows Amanda's adventure on the Sevastopol. And Sevastopol is a big space station, and it will take her to many locations on that space station.
In the story, as with the original film, it's as much a story about people and how they interact with each other, especially ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances, like the alien being on board where you are. And so one of the things that makes Alien a much more interesting experience to have is it's not just about this incredibly mysterious and dangerous creature, but it's also about how people face that. You will come across other people that are reacting in very different ways and trying to survive in very different ways. That sense of immediate survival is part of the most effective storytelling that the game will do, because it's all about how you survive moment to moment. And that shifting gear, that flow of tempo, is something that players will come to understand very quickly that they drive in. Although the narrative is flowing forward, how that narrative plays out for them in terms of what they experience along the way is driven by their actions. Our starting position was we want to take the player to that place they always wanted to go, right, which is to be dealing with an alien, singular, one-on-one, deeply unprepared, not armed to the teeth. That entire experience is encapsulated by incredible environment, which you've seen, where we've put an incredible effort into creating that 70s lo-fi, sci-fi aesthetic, and everything's lovely recreated, and the audio is the same thing. So it was a real step up to be able to delve into the ancient archives of the audio banks at Fox and find treasure troves of things that you could use. Well, see, the process of delivering that kind of lo-fi sci-fi universe is kind of trip back to your childhood with big chunky Betamax video players with big levers, or is a trip back to that kind of 70s sci-fi design.
I mean, it made sense to go back to the technology of that era, and transfer. We all remember how shoddy VHS systems were. And it made sense to use that in the process. That's, after all, that's what we were trying to reproduce.
I mean, and there are very practical reasons for us to do it. One of the most important things for us to communicate to the player is that, and it's the same central message in the original film, is that here are people, in a future surrounded by technology, and ordinary people caught out in this situation, and the technology is clunky and not very useful to you. It's not the key thing that's going to help you survive. And so not only is it great to reimagine and show the aesthetic from the original film, but it also continues that really important message that high technology is not going to save you. You have to basically think a little bit more grounded for that. We really want to go back to the survival part of horror survival, and actually you had to work at that. You were vulnerable, underpowered, and you were trying to survive against this particular horror, this creature, and the most immediate sense of victory you could have was not blowing everything up or killing everything, but was actually just simply surviving through the process. So when you're looking at kind of influences or the things that inspire people, it's kind of a lot of the previous generation, earlier waves of horror survival games which we consider classics now, really, that have kind of influenced the game. But it would also be much fairer to say there's a lot of cinema, a lot of as you've seen from the environment, the incredible detail of the environment and the lighting schemes. The most successful horror experiences or layers of horror that we've added on top are suspense-driven, cinematically inspired, and the gameplay is feeding off of that.
With locks closed.